Okay, settle in, because this one starts with a scream. It wasn't just any scream. It was the kind that punched the air out of your lungs, the kind that scraped against your bones. It ripped through the humid Louisiana night, bouncing off the moss-draped cypress trees lining the bayou. It was Maya's scream. Maya, barely 7 years old, with pigtails the color of spun gold, and eyes that held the vast, untamed spirit of the swamp. She was gone, vanished from her backyard swing set, leaving behind only the rhythmic creaking of the chains and the lingering scent of honeysuckle. The immediate suspect? Jean-Pierre, the recluse who lived at the edge of the swamp. He was a shadow, a whisper, a man draped in the rumors of a dark past. People said he'd lost his wife and daughter years ago in a tragic boating accident, and the grief had driven him mad. He kept to himself, his small shack swallowed by the encroaching wilderness. He was an easy target for the town's fear. Sheriff Thibodeau, a man weathered by the sun and etched with the burdens of his office, had no choice but to investigate Jean-Pierre. He found the man hunched over a small table, painstakingly carving a wooden bird. Jean-Pierre's eyes, usually clouded with 1,000 unspoken sorrows, were clear and steady. He offered no resistance, no explanation, just a quiet resignation. Sheriff, he rasped, his voice thick with disuse. I haven't seen the little one. I swear on my daughter's memory. Thibodeau searched the shack, every corner, every shadow. Nothing. No sign of Maya. No evidence to link Jean-Pierre to the crime. Yet, the town clamored for justice, fueled by their ingrained prejudice and their desperate need for someone to blame. Meanwhile, across town, in the manicured lawns of the wealthy Oakwood estates, another kind of darkness was brewing. Isabella, Maya's mother, was a whirlwind of grief, her face etched with a desperate agony. Her husband, Robert, the town's leading lawyer, stood stoic by her side, a pillar of strength in their crumbling world. But beneath the surface of his composed exterior, something else churned. Isabella and Robert were a picture-perfect couple, except the picture was a meticulously constructed facade. Their marriage was a gilded cage, held together by societal expectations and a shared secret, Robert's crippling gambling addiction. He was drowning in debt, owing exorbitant amounts to dangerous people. He had been siphoning money from his clients' accounts, a ticking time bomb that was about to detonate. Maya's disappearance couldn't have come at a worse time. The investigation was drawing unwanted attention, threatening to expose his carefully constructed life. Days turned into nights, and the search for Maya intensified. The bayou was combed, the woods scoured. Volunteers poured in from neighboring towns, their faces grim with determination. But Maya remained elusive. Hope began to dwindle, replaced by a chilling despair. Then, a breakthrough. A small, mud-caked shoe was found near the old abandoned sugar mill, a place whispered to be haunted by the ghosts of enslaved workers. The shoe was Maya's. The search focused on the mill, its decaying walls and hidden chambers holding the silence of a forgotten history. Inside, scrawled on a dusty wall, was a message: he owes. Thibodeau's eyes narrowed. This wasn't the work of a crazed recluse. This was something else, something darker, something connected to money. He started digging into Robert's finances, meticulously unraveling the threads of his deceit. He discovered the gambling debts, the embezzled funds, the desperate scramble to stay afloat. He confronted Robert, who initially denied everything, his face a mask of righteous indignation. But when Thibodeau presented the evidence, the facade crumbled. Robert confessed. He hadn't kidnapped Maya himself, but he had made a deal with a group of ruthless men he owed money to. They would borrow Maya, putting pressure on Isabella, a woman with considerable wealth in her own right, to pay his debts. He swore he hadn't intended for Maya to be harmed. He just wanted to buy himself time. Thibodeau, his face grim, arrested Robert. The search for Maya intensified, now driven by a renewed urgency. The men Robert had hired were traced to a dilapidated houseboat deep in the bayou. The rescue was a blur of flashing lights, shouting officers, and the deafening roar of the swamp airboat engines. Maya was found huddled in a small cabin, scared but unharmed. She was clinging to a tattered teddy bear, her eyes wide with fear. As Thibodeau carried her out of the houseboat back into the embrace of the Louisiana night, he saw Jean-Pierre standing at the edge of the crowd. The old man's eyes were shining with tears. He simply nodded, a silent acknowledgement of Maya's safe return. The town rejoiced. Maya was home. Robert was facing justice, and Jean Pierre finally was absolved of the whispers that had haunted him for so long. But the story doesn't end there. Isabella, devastated by her husband's betrayal, found herself adrift. She had lost her trust, her faith in everything she thought she knew, but she also found a strength she never knew she possessed. She started visiting Jean Pierre, bringing him groceries and sharing stories with him. She saw in him a kindred spirit, a fellow survivor who had weathered the storms of life and emerged scarred but not broken. Jean Pierre, in turn, helped Isabella heal. He taught her about the bayou, its secrets and its beauty. He showed her the resilience of nature, the way the cypress trees stood tall, even in the face of hurricanes, the way the wildflowers bloomed, even in the darkest corners of the swamp. Slowly, Isabella began to rebuild her life. She used her wealth to establish a foundation for children who had been victims of crime, ensuring that they had the support and resources they needed to heal. She also became a passionate advocate for protecting the bayou, fighting against developers who threatened to destroy its delicate ecosystem. And Maya? She started visiting Jean Pierre with Isabella. She would sit on his porch, listening to his stories about the swamp creatures and helping him carve his wooden birds. She found in him a grandfather figure, a source of love and security. One day, Maya asked Jean Pierre why he carved so many birds. He smiled, a genuine smile that reached his eyes. Because, he said, birds are free. They can fly away from trouble. They can sing their songs to the world. And they remind us that even when things are dark, there is always hope for a new dawn. Isabella watched them, her heart filled with a quiet joy. She had lost so much, but she had also gained something invaluable, a new family, a new purpose, and a new understanding of the resilience of the human spirit. The scream that had echoed through the bayou had faded, replaced by the gentle sounds of laughter, the rustling of leaves, and the quiet murmur of hope. The darkness had been lifted, replaced by the warm glow of forgiveness and the enduring power of love. The bayou, once a symbol of fear, had become a sanctuary, a place where broken hearts could heal and new beginnings could take root. The community rallied around both Isabella and Jean Pierre. They were no longer seen as outsiders, but as valuable members of their community. The positive ending is not just about Maya's return, it's about the transformation that occurs in the aftermath. It's about Isabella finding her strength, Jean Pierre finding redemption, and a community learning to overcome prejudice and embrace compassion. It highlights the resilience of the human spirit and the enduring power of hope, even in the face of unimaginable darkness. It signifies the message of second chance to everyone,